have the courage to think. Because if you can think, you can change. You can move, you can evolve, you can grow, you can become. You are one idea away. Your credit is not a problem. Your car is not a problem. Your situation is not a problem. Your thoughts are the problem. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Everything starts in the thoughts you think. You are no better than the thoughts you think. If you think little, you go little. If you think weak, you go weak. If you think up, you go up. One thought. Slap yourself in the head. One thought. That's how close you are.
There's a simple but often overlooked premise in business, and that is new growth comes from new thinking. New growth comes from new thinking. Expecting new growth for your business without new ways of thinking about it is like a farmer expecting new crops to grow without first planting the seeds.
So now is the season for you to move distractions, confusion, turmoil out of the way to find a peaceful place where you can meditate and think, what am I going to do at this season in my life? What am I going to do with this age and stage? What could I do with the circumstances in my life? What would you do with what you have to make it better? One thought.
It's the time if you want to be on top of your game. Now listen, this is not for everybody. The masses will use their time being a spectator. We have been conditioned and programmed to be spectators, to watch people live their dreams. You want to use your time living the kind of life that people watch you. You want to use your time perfecting your skill and your passion to stand out as an expert. Use your time to operate from that consciousness of Henry David Thoreau, who said, do not go where the path may lead, go where there is no path and leave a trail. If you just decide, I'm going to find something that I would enjoy doing, and then I'm going to carve out the time and have a schedule that I'm working on it every day, listen to me, nobody can touch you. There's no competition. There's no excuse today for not becoming successful. Even if you've just lost your job, even if you're going through foreclosure and eviction, you can come back. You have no competition because the majority of the people throw their time away and they have nothing to show for it.
When you think about growing, whenever you're faced with a situation that you can't control and you make the decision to grow, it kind of trims the fat, right? The things that are not important, the things that are no longer something that you got to just focus on every single day. I'm talking about foolishness, right? And when you make that decision to grow, it's just like in marriage, just like being a father. You zoom in on that thing on such a level to where it's like, opposition is what it is, the challenge is what it is, but every single day I'm going to come in and be intentional about growth. And when you change the way you think about growth, right? When you change your perspective, how you see things, the opportunity for growth, man, is limitless. Every single day, you got all of us in the world that are dealing with a similar situation, but people are responding differently. It's like the quote that says, we all got problems, but what makes us different is how we solve them, right? Everybody is faced with different situations, but what makes them different is how they solve them. And so for me, man, the greatest thing that's happened as a result of this pandemic, of this corona, of this COVID, is every single day I wake up and I'm intentional about my growth. I'm intentional about it.
You see, the largest gap between successful and unsuccessful people in life is the thinking gap. I'm not talking about being smart. I'm not talking about an IQ. I'm talking about how you think, how I think. Successful people think differently than unsuccessful people. The most important real estate, the most important real estate in life is 6 inches between the ears. How we think.
Becoming a better thinker is worth your effort because the way you think really impacts every aspect of your life. It doesn't matter whether you are a business person, teacher, parent, scientist, pastor, or corporate executive. Good thinking will make you a better business person, teacher, parent, scientist, pastor, or corporate executive. Good thinking creates the foundation for good results. If you don't like the crop you're reaping, you need to change the seed you're sowing. When it comes to achievement, the seed is your thinking. Good thinking increases your potential. If your thinking shapes who you are, then it naturally follows that your potential is determined by your thinking. Achieving your potential comes from making progress, and progress is often just a good idea away. For many people, the greatest detriment to their success tomorrow is their thinking today. If their thinking is limited, so is their potential. But if people can keep growing in their thinking, they will constantly outgrow what they're doing. Good thinking produces more good thinking if you make it a habit. Albert Einstein observed, "The solutions to the problems we face today cannot be solved on the same level of thinking we were at when we created them." Look around you, and you'll see that it is true. The world keeps getting more and more complicated. The good news is that no matter how complicated life gets or how difficult problems may seem, good thinking can make a difference if you make it a consistent part of your life.
It's easy to go around thinking that the obstacle is too big, we'll never get well, this virus is going to get the best of us. We wonder why we don't have any strength, why we can't get ahead. It's because our thoughts are limiting us. We draw in what we constantly think about. You can't think defeat and have victory. You can't think weakness and have strength. Your life is going to follow your thoughts. Instead of thinking these weak, defeated, not able to thoughts, you need to think power thoughts. This sickness is no match for me. This virus can't stop my destiny. This trouble at work is not how my story ends. Victory starts in our mind. Success, breakthroughs, new levels depends on our thinking. Be careful what you think because your thoughts run your life. Are your thoughts helping you or hurting you? Are you thinking power thoughts, victory thoughts, well-able thoughts? Or are you thinking defeated thoughts? I'll never get well, never accomplish my dreams, never break this addiction. You're choosing which direction your life is going to go. Pay attention to what you're dwelling on. Don't just think any thought that comes to mind. If it's negative, discouraging, fearful, don't give it the time of day.
To be productive, to make an impact, to create a presence. That's why we're here. To work. To leave our mark. And so do an evaluation of yourself. Ask yourself, you look at 24 hours, how much time do you spend developing your mind? How much time do you spend learning a new skill? The economy has changed. 47 million jobs will be lost to artificial intelligence. Majority of money being made on the planet is being made virtually at home on a computer. The game has changed. And I'm encouraging you, get around people who are using their time productively, because people rub off on you. When you know your purpose, that narrows how you use your time. How are you using your time? You have something special. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine.
If you're new to the Impact Secret Podcast show, welcome to the family. To my existing family, big up as always. I appreciate you for joining. On this podcast show, we shift the mindset through inspiration, motivation, and most of all, the foundation of it all, self-discipline. I am your respectful host, ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, look, it just simply means Ed. Now, pull up to the dinner table. Your boy got some stories to tell. You know the motto, the slogan here, the one that we rock with and go by. Bet on yourself. You won't win unless you get in a game and play. You know the quote that we rock with also here at the show. You never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have. Bob Marley. One question, two thought-provoking statements. You tell me which one resonates or all of them resonate with you. First question, how are you using your time? How are you using your time? One thought-provoking statement, planting the seed. Planting the seed. The second thought-provoking statement, there is no competition. There is no competition. Today's show is entitled That's me like being like an alarm or something. It's called or entitled Wake Up Call. Something gotta give. Something gotta give. Now, I know the proper English or the proper context to say it is something has to give, but we had to remix that and say something gotta give. Family, I don't know about you, so I'll just speak for me and just be transparent and give you a walk or give you a peep into how I'm feeling right now. You see, what I've realized is that a lot of times we can get caught up in the cooler talk. What is the cooler talk? What are you talking about? See, the cooler talk is a talk or a conversation that you have about how frustrated you are about circumstances and issues and problems and how life is, or most of the time is really around something that is bothering you, yet you have taken no action. We've had these discussions before, and it's different a lot of times when you have conversation with people and you tell them, hey, you know, if this is bothering you, hey, won't you look at doing this? Because when that happened to me, this is what I did. And what you have to understand and what you have to learn a lot of times, family, is that I am learning along the way that not everybody is really looking for a solution. They are really looking to really voice a problem or voice something, or looking for a reason to be upset, or looking for a reason to be in their feelings per se. Because if you really want to change it in these days and times, now back when my mother and father were in, you know, going to work and doing what they're doing to provide for the family, they didn't have the opportunities that we have today. And then the opportunities that we have today is so vast. It's just now you have to sit down and figure out and choose which one you want. It's sort of like information. Before, when you wanted to read a book, you had to go to the bookstore, or you had to or you had to go to the bookstore, buy your book, or go to the library. Now I can get instant downloads. Times have changed. And because with the change, you have to be adaptable, you have to be flexible, you have to be able to be in a state of mind to know that you can't get too comfortable, because you may miss out on an opportunity. You see, when I first jumped into this, and the more that I get into this, the more, because I am nothing but a student. I am just a student, just relaying what I just learned along the way and what I'm continuing to learn. What I understood is I kept asking myself, why is somebody like a Kobe Bryant or a LeBron James or a Michael Jordan or a Denzel Washington? I'm asking I'm thinking of these people, and I'm saying, a lot of people would say, if I reach a certain success, then, hey, I can take a break. And you should take a break. First of all, let's be clear. You should get the recommended amount of time to sleep. But what I noticed about these gentlemen I mentioned is that they never rest on the success that they have. It was like, I love what Biggie Smalls had said. He said, you got to treat this like day one. And day one, you remember that hunger that you had, that desire that you had, that will that you had, that you wanted to prove to somebody, like something got to give, something got to change around here, because if it doesn't change, I don't know what I'm going to do. So what do we do in that situation, family? That's why I posed the question to you in the opening of this. How are you spending your time? Are you spending your time being so frustrated and so angry of something that is out of your control, that now you losing time when you need to narrow your focus, or look at that, or open that narrow door and say, okay, this is what the issue is. This is what the problem is. Can I solve it? Okay, I can't. Can I pivot? Can I go around it? Can I go through it? What can I do? The key word is I. Because if you don't look to self and say, all right, I'm not happy in this situation, I am not pleased about what is actually going on. And we have to be crystal clear here, family, because if you're like me, because I'm hoping we're like-minded individuals, that's why I call you family, is that being like-minded in a sense is that you have to have a clear perspective of what is going on. Because a lot of times, family, you will hear things like, oh, just hang in there and stick it out and just stay with it. But that doesn't always apply to everything. See, a lot of times, family, we want to put a Band-Aid approach, or we want to put a one-size-fit-all approach to everything, and it doesn't work that way. See, there's a difference of where you're in a situation and it's your intuition is telling you, put on your sneakers and run. You have 5 minutes to depart to a departure. Meaning, and clarification is that sometimes, family, it's an opportunity to learn what you don't want. Ooh, I like that. It's an opportunity to learn that, you know what, this is not going to work for me. But then there are situations, family, where you need to just stay. I remember one time my mentor, I was having some challenges at a job that I was working at. And it was really weird because of the hiring manager sought me out. I was good. I was comfortable where I was doing, and I was learning more, and he sought me out and I asked him, I said, why did you choose me to interview for this opportunity? And he said, well, because every time I would come down to they were a floor above us, I would come down, I would always see you there late. And he said, I was just confused of why everybody else had left and you were always there. And then in the morning when I would come, you were there before everybody. He said, why? I said, why not? I said, because for me, this wasn't, I'm looking at this differently than everybody else. I am looking at this to learn, to understand, and get better. They're here for a check, and there's nothing wrong with it. But see, I'm looking for some skills that will be transferable. So he was like, hey, I have an opportunity for a position. Won't you interview for it? And I was like, I kind of really enjoy what I'm doing, so I really don't know. So he of course, circled back with me and asked me again. I said, okay. So I took the opportunity. And family, when I took that opportunity, that was one of the many best lessons that I learned, because what I didn't realize at the time was the person that was actually training me should have gotten that was a promotion for that person if that would have been offered to them. But they didn't. They went with somebody else. And so just imagine that, family, that the person that is training you for the job that they should have had, having to train you and go through all the steps and teaching you how to actually do the particular job, which they knew inside and out. They wrote up a lot of the documentation. They were the one that really was pushing the envelope of getting the required and the necessary results, and then not get promoted. So just imagine you being the person that is getting trained, and is so much tension, and you're confused of why there is tension. You're just here to learn and execute on the job. Well, family, in that chaos that I was in, I learned some of the best lessons and some of the lessons that I learned was that a lot of times, family, even though you're invited, you're not welcome. And when you're not, even when you're invited and you're not welcome, how do you not lose yourself in the situation where you become and you start taking it personally? Well, family, what I did was, and this is something that I pass on, and when I mentor people, I tell them, when your intuition and your gut, and you've given everything you gave to the situation, and that could be a relationship, that could be a job that we're talking about, that can be anything, and you know that you've done everything possible to try to amend, you've done everything possible that was within you to do, you have to finally sit down and make a decision and then put a plan in place. You have to, because if you don't, you will continue to go down and walk down a path that was not designed for you. It was a temporary path, but you turned it into a permanent path or a permanent destination. So, family, we need to stop confusing these temporary destinations as being permanent destinations. So that's why it's important about the whole planting seeds. That's why I always tell you, family, if you don't know what you want to do, if you don't know what your purpose is, if you don't know, it's one of those things, family, where you need to really, truly experiment with things that interest you. You need to really listen to what people say about you, as far as from a good context, and say things like, you know what, man, you're really funny, and you have a great personality. You should create a YouTube channel, or you have a really good voice. You should be on, you should create a podcast and stream it live so people can see. And when you're hearing certain things that people are saying that gets you excited, you should go experiment with it. And experimenting with it, it will allow you the opportunity to be more than what you thought. You see, when you listen to that audio clip, you kept hearing a reoccurring theme, and it's about how you think. That is why every day you have to get up and fight for the things you want. Every day you got to fight for the mind frame that you want. Every day you have to fight to be more than you was yesterday, even though you were tired, you're exhausted. We talked about how, which I pulled from Andy when he talked about test days. Test days, boy, I tell you, they are amazing, because you get a chance to see where you stack up. You get a chance to see, Are you just talking about you want to be great? Are you just talking about you want to be number one? Are you just talking about you want to put your family in a better situation? Are you talking about, are you just talking about you're tired of being sick and tired, but you're not doing anything about it? You're not taking the micro steps so that they can become bigger steps. Because that mindset of being able to tell yourself, you know what, this has to change. Something got to give. That alarm clock, when that alarm clock goes off in your head and you wake up and you get that jolt of saying, I've had it. I've had it. That's when it's time to work. And I mean, you work until exhausted. I heard Kobe Bryant in an interview. I think this is when they lost the playoffs. And they asked him, no. It was, I think when he got traded from Charlotte to LA, and I don't know if it was the GM or whoever it was, said that they didn't really need him. Just imagine that. You're a young kid coming out of high school and you're thrust into the real world and they telling you they don't need you. What do you think most people would have done? Would most people would have tried to prove them right, or would they would have tried to prove them wrong? And the reason why I ask that question is that a lot of times, family, people tell us that, well, you should be happy you're here, or you should be grateful that you even got this opportunity. And you become docile. You become more of I'll say like a doormat in a sense. And you're like, right, I should be grateful and thankful. But and honest, if we're really just keeping it a buck, if we really just being honest with each other, you have value. You have significant value. And that's why I always say, keep working on yourself. Family, every day I get up, I have a list now as I'm going through this process, because I am not excited about where I'm at. But I made a decision that something has to give. Alarm clock went off in my head and I said, you know what? I'm not working hard enough. Yeah, I'm tired right now. I mean, I couldn't even tell you how I'm up moving around. Well, yeah, I can tell you. It's the energy. It's the energy of leveraging the frustration, of leveraging the anger, and leveraging it in a way that I don't have to use that as fuel all the time, but I have to understand, okay, this is happening. What can I do? Let me tell you what I can do. I can start experimenting with life on the things that interest me. I can start by taking the required steps to create the urgency and the momentum that I am looking for. I understand, as Nipsey said, this is a marathon. So I make sure I got a good pair of shoes on or a good pair of sneakers on, because we're about to go for this run. I heard Steve Harvey talk about farming. And I never thought about it the way that he described it. And I said, that's really interesting. When he talked about farming, he talked about the trials and tribulations that a farmer has to go through. From the crop potentially going bad to you planting seeds and birds coming and eating it up, to, or even, different animals or rodents, to having to work the field, plow the field, to make the right investments in technology, then finding buyers and making sure that you're not getting taken advantage of from a business standpoint. The work of a farmer is one that grows, and to be able to nurture the crops effectively. And when I thought about that, I said, that's like life. That's like, it's, if you don't make the decision to nurture yourself by being sort of similar like a crop, of pouring into yourself in a way that allows you to grow, then what are you doing this for? It's just sort of like that pastor said one time when at church, he said, what's the point of coming here to church if you're going to keep doing the same thing that you've been doing? You might as well just stay at home. And a lot of times, family, we listen to good content like the Impact Secret Podcast Show. Shameless plug, I apologize. We read great books. We listen to great, consultation. I don't like advice. I like consultation. But we hear all this information and we do nothing with it. Is it that we don't trust the information? I don't believe that's the case. What I believe is that it's the investment and then the cost required to be more. It's the challenge and the sacrifice that's required that you don't want to do. Who do you think wants to get up at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and then go work a full-time job and then take care of, the household responsibilities? And then who wants to do that? Not a lot of people. And they don't want to do it because of what comes with the frustration and stress and everything that comes with wanting to be more. But I keep hearing that the rewards are so much greater than the work that all you have to do is stick with it. So family, that's why we're here. That is why we're here 5 days a week, dropping these shows, because I have somewhere I have to be. I have an appointment that is already destined for me, that all I need to do is keep showing up and keep delivering every single day. So when you get to a point, family, a real true point of something got to give, and that alarm clock goes off in your mind, and this time you didn't hit snooze, this time you didn't change the time from what you originally committed to, now it's time to get to work. Now it's time to shine. I've been your respectful host, ED, and this has been another Impact Secret Podcast Show. I hope you enjoyed today's show, because really, family, we all been there. We all get that call, but most of us put it on hold. Most of us block the call. Most of us just don't even answer. But eventually, something's gotta give. Until next time, peace.